That night, Daniel wasn't supposed to be home. He'd told me his trip would last until Sunday, and I clung to that promise as if it were a lifeline, telling myself I still had time. Time to sort out the chaos I created. Time to fool myself just a little longer that what I'd done wasn't completely unforgivable. But time has a way of catching up with you, and mine had finally run out. The front door opened quietly before I even registered it. A soft click, then the familiar echo of footsteps. My chest tightened instantly. I tried to tell myself it was nothing. Maybe a neighbor, maybe my imagination. But the moment I turned, there he was. Daniel stood frozen in the doorway, his overnight bag dangling from one shoulder. His face was calm, unreadable, but his eyes told the truth. They moved from me to Ethan, who sat beside me on the couch, half hidden beneath a blanket, his shirt discarded carelessly on the floor. The air was heavy, soaked with a mingling sense of sweat, perfume, and something far more suffocating, guilt. Ethan reacted first, scrambling to cover himself, fumbling for words I couldn't hear. Daniel didn't flinch, didn't even glance in his direction. His focus remained solely on me, and I longed for some outburst, anger, shouting, even a thrown object. Anything would have been easier than the unbearable quiet. "Daniel!" I started, my voice trembling, but he raised a hand, stopping me before the words fully formed. He set his bag down with deliberate care, each movement precise, controlled, as though holding himself together required every ounce of strength he possessed. Ethan lingered awkwardly, half-dressed, before mumbling something about leaving. After a pause, he slipped past Daniel and out the door, leaving us alone. The silence pressed down on me. I tried to breathe, but my lungs refused to cooperate. Anything I could say would feel insufficient. Daniel didn't move, didn't speak. He just stood there, exhausted in a way that made my chest ache more than any scream could. "I came home early," he said finally, his voice steady, unnervingly so. "I wanted to surprise you." A wave of shame hit me, like a physical blow. "Daniel, He let out a low, bitter laugh, but his expression didn't change. I had always imagined a moment like this in films. People yelling, throwing things, demanding answers. But there was none of that, only quiet devastation. "I don't feel angry," he murmured, shaking his head slightly. "Just tired." And that's when reality struck me, not with a dramatic explosion, but in the tiny, unbearable details. The slump of his shoulders, the fragile edge in his voice. I hadn't just made a mistake. I had shattered something real, something we had built together, without ever thinking of the cost to him. "I never meant to hurt you," I whispered. "You did," he replied softly, rubbing his face and finally looking away. The pause that followed was suffocating. I wanted to reach for him, to say something, anything that could undo this, but words failed me. Before I could try, he moved toward the dresser, my heart dropping with each measured step. He opened the top drawer and pulled out a small velvet box. My stomach twisted. I had seen it once before, tucked away when I'd been searching for socks. I had imagined it many times, picturing him on one knee, asking me to be his forever. Tears of joy, smiles, perfect moments. Now he opened it slowly, revealing a ring, simple, elegant, beautiful. His fingers shook just enough to betray him. "I was going to ask this weekend," he said quietly. "I've been planning it for months." My throat tightened, my vision blurred. "Daniel, please." He snapped the box closed gently, returned it to his pocket, and inhaled deeply, as though forcing himself to stay upright. Then he looked at me one last time. "I hope he was worth it," he whispered. And without another word, he walked away. He didn't slam the door, didn't shout. He simply left, and he never returned. That silence, that finality, was the heaviest wound of all.